Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Meant to Vent Podcast News. My name is Jaime, and what I like to do here, if you're new to the channel, is give my crazy thoughts and opinions on all this crazy news that's happening around the globe. And I can easily collect them to conspiracies all the time, because like I said, they are undefeated. And lately, there's just been so much drama, and I feel like it's been beating the TV out lately because of all these stories that have been happening. And I feel like these are going to be the best documentaries. I would tell all the streaming services, just be patient. Stay the course, because you guys are going to have the best documentaries playing tug of war for all these scandals that could be coming out of it, or not. Or you can make the scandals of them not coming out. You guys, it's a win-win for you guys. So I'm sure everybody's already starting to write them and everything, because it's going down. But apparently, we can't let this Epstein thing go down. Everybody doesn't want to let this story go away. Neither do I. I want to see what happens. Even if there is some bullshit. If there's some bullshit parts of the story, then we should still get parts of the story and let us see let us know what it is. This part was BS. This part was true. And let's get on with it. Let's get ready to rumble. But apparently, Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know how you say her name. Ghislaine. Everybody always messes around with that. We'll just say Maxwell. Girlstein or whatever. Apparently she's ready to talk. There's been talks and articles I've been seeing, interviews on the news that's been saying that she's been ready to supposedly testify in front of Congress or somebody, in front of whoever. So everybody's going to start doing polls about how fast she maybe doesn't make it to make that happen. It's going to be interesting. She already made sure she did a video of her jogging to show that she was healthy. I think that was a move, look, I'm jogging miles out here. I'm healthy, in case you guys are like, oh, sudden cardiac or sudden, something else. And she suffered from POPD, or some shit. She wanted to tell everybody that she was running and exercising. So there was that was like I'm healthy thing right there. That was like a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? To get your attention. But apparently she had some company. And there's a book that's out there going around. It's a real popular book. I'm about to order it. I keep messing up the name, but it has the Clintons involved in the title. It says something like the Clintons and women or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. But I've been seeing clips of the people reviewing this book, and the book looks really juicy. And it has the files that won't get released. This guy has a lot of real good research, in-depth research. Worked with I guess directly with some of the lawyers and things like that on both sides. Actually uses some real names in there. Some of the names are starting to come out because I think other people are getting wind of this book and things like that. And I'm sure he's going to make rounds on podcasts shortly. But yeah, this apparently she had a company called Tiramar, and this company was super funded, completely funded by the Clinton Foundation, which is pretty interesting stuff. The Clinton Global Initiative. I guess that was the place that was completely funding one of her places. I won't put any accusations of what was happening there, but if you put two together, stuff was happening there possibly. And if she testifies, names could come out. People that, she would know. She was on airplanes with a bunch of people. She probably, was making all the appointments. She could have been the secretary. We don't really know yet until she lets us, let us everything know. Because apparently right now she's being held in custody for no clients, for nobody. And I believe this could be a really big deal. I mean, she was charged with conspiracy to commit sex trafficking, but there was no conspirators mentioned or named in any of these cases. They were saying the really big lawyers involved were same big lawyers involved in the Diddy case and other big cases that got swept under the rug. And apparently there was hundreds of millions of dollars paid out to a bunch of people that were supposed or alleged victims. They claim some of the victims that were, not alive right now, claim the feds did have actual archived footage of things, and now they're saying that stuff doesn't exist. So it's really hard to believe because these guys are really good cover-up artists, but lately with all of our technology and all of our snoopers out there, and I feel like some of the people out there that work in the media that maybe are under some classified situations and things like that with NDAs. A lot of people out there these days are a lot of click hungry. A lot of people love the clicks, even if they're not knowing about the side gigs they're doing. I mean, there was a guy that was bragging to a woman on a dinner date with a hidden camera on that Project Veritas channel when he was talking about, some of the stuff that was happening during lockdowns, and he was just bragging about it, like, So I feel like people are like, power hungry and shit like that, and they all want to be like the mob. They want to be the boss. And so I feel like maybe this is how some of these stories are maybe getting out, and we can see what could be happening. So apparently this guy, Steve Bannon, has a documentary with Epstein himself, and apparently has like 15 hours of footage of this man. And he could probably have some good information right there. Possibly talk about people he's worked with, possible contacts, maybe some things he's been involved in, and that could lead to more contacts. And we could build our own list this way. Like we could really build our own list if you could just let us see a little bit of this stuff. And especially if he really has this documentary. I would love to see this documentary, and I'm sure you would. I'm sure a lot of people are resurfacing the old documentary that's on Netflix and all these other ones, because that was pretty juicy too, because it can go back to Prince Andrew and his, closing out things, and we'll see what happens there, So maybe, like, I'm almost starting to think, after seeing some of these, like, other stories about Epstein and things like that, maybe this guy was just, this is my own assumption, it's my own, like, guess. Like, maybe this guy was just some super, like, he was just a spy. Like a straight up spy. Like, you see movies like, there's a movie called American Made. They talk about the Contras and, like, how they use this, airplane pilot and all this stuff that really went down. Clinton was involved with that as well. That was, it was a real interesting movie there when they go, they touch close to the truth there, A lot of crazy things were going on. But I feel like he was like this kind of chameleon. Like, obviously he was this chameleon because, like I said, you see these other interviews. Like, there's one with not the producer Weinstein, like the smart guy Weinstein. I forget what his first name is. I don't want to say the movie guy and mess it up. But his last name is Weinstein. This guy's super genius. He was on Rogan. He was on there with Terrence Howard, talking about Terrence Howard's crazy math. He was on an interview, and they were just recently talking about his interactions with Epstein. And he said his was really creepy. Like, and this is what's making me think this spy type shit, like why they used him as intel, and how he was used. So this guy says, my interaction with him was very weird, because he said he was in a room with scientists, and this guy supposedly is into finance and currencies. And he said when he met him, he didn't know shit about currencies, but he knew about this secret gravity project that he was working on that nobody else knew about. So Epstein knew about this guy's project on gravity. So this guy knows about gravity, sex trafficking, currency, arms dealing, and all kinds of these things. That's a spy. I mean, it probably knows how, computer shit, like crazy stuff on a computer. Like, there's probably so much we don't know. And this guy with his little chameleon tactics, could get and put in the room with all these different people. And he used, like, sex to get into these people's, good terms or whatever, probably. Or maybe not. Maybe he didn't use it for that way. Maybe he had different ways to get into the rooms of these people. But in the end, he worked for somebody. In the end, he was like on, the Mission Impossible. He had to get all these people together to get all these things happening. Wow. He's like an Ethan Hunt, but like a bad version. It's bananas. That's just crazy. But like, yeah, he's going to be in a room with different people. He can be in a room and pull it off and hang it out and pull off the whole hustle in front of arms dealers. He can pull off the hustle in front of politicians and people of elites. He can pull it in when the people are moving around in the finance game. And he could pull it in a room with people like work in science. Like, I heard he was working with like bioscientists too. Like, people are trying to like make, people immortal and things like that. And he's involved in these kind of projects. Like, how did he get in there? It's because he's probably a spy. I'm just saying. Well, my name is Jaime, and this has been another episode of Meant to Vent Podcast News. Till next time. See ya.